and mass movement, or it is also called mass wasting. So today we'll going to learn about weathering, and let's see what are our target today. So first we are going to see about what is weathering and types of weathering, mass movement and or mass wasting, and types of mass movement. So let's see in detail. So first, what is weathering? Weathering is a in situ process, that means which happens at the site. So if you consider this as a mountain or a rock, so at this site or at this place there is a kind of a weathering or removal takes place. So this is called in situ or at the site. So and this removal is known as weathering. So here we will see what a weathering actually is. The mechanism, the mechanical disintegration and chemical decomposition of rocks through the actions of elements of weather and climate. So through the actions of weather and climate, there is a disintegration or decomposition takes place, and there is removal of rock particles, and the due to the removal it forms into a kind of fine grains and soil. So this is what we are going to see today. So what are the types of weathering? So first we'll see the chemical weathering. The first one is the chemical weathering. So in chemical weathering, the first is carbonation. So what actually carbonation is? Carbonation is a simple term. When carbon dioxide, that is CO2, reacts with rain, it forms weak carbonic acid. So it forms weak carbonic acid. So this weak carbonic acid reacts with a kind of stones like limestone. So it reacts with limestone, and there is erosion, or there is a reaction takes place, and we can see uh, I can draw here, and I can say that, see, if you consider this as a rock, and due to the carbonation or the this reaction weak carbonic acid, um, there is breakage in rocks takes place, or there is erosion takes place. So this is the carbonation, and we have to see here what is solution. Solution is also similar to carbonation, but the only difference is here actually the water, or the solution is already having a weak acidic solution is already a weak acidic. Here the reaction takes place with rainwater, but here it's already weak acid which reacts with such kind of limestone, or it is also called as calcium carbonate. So it forms, there is a breakage kind of takes place, and there is a weathering takes place. So this is a solution, and due to this erosion also takes place. Now let's see what is oxidation. So oxidation is rocks with iron content. So if you consider a rock, this is a rock, it is having iron in it. So if we bring this rock into environment, so if we bring this rock in environment, so our environment or our atmosphere has oxygen, nitrogen, some all this kind, and water particles, and we have water. So when this ferrous rock comes into contact with water or oxygen, so it get reacted, undergoes an oxidation reaction and forms a rust. So if you see here, this due to oxidation, if you consider this initial rock ferrous, due to oxidation and reduction, due to oxidation, that is addition of oxygen to this ferrous, this there is a change or deformation takes place, original size to this size. So this debris or this weathered particle will settle around the surroundings. So this is what oxidation is, which is simply said, and when an iron is exposed to oxygen, there is a oxidation reaction takes. So these are all chemical chemistry terms, so we need not to put much concentration in this. So these are we need to just simply understand what is happening here. So don't bother about those chemical reactions and all. So then we'll see what is a reduction reaction. So what is reduction reaction? Here we have seen the addition of oxygen from water or oxygen present in environment or atmosphere. Now what we are doing is we are reducing oxygen. See this debris, if you consider these debris or these fine grains, if you consider these fine grains, and these fine grains is waterlogged. You consider this is surface, and this is the fine grains from this oxidized rock. These fine grains settled, and this is waterlogged. So there is no chance of entering of oxygen here. So when oxidized minerals are placed in environment where oxygen is not present, reduction takes place. So here oxygen will not be present, then there is a reduction takes place. And here what happens is the color of here due to rust, for formation of rust, the fine grain particles color will be red or yellow kind of thing. It changes to red, changes to greenish due to removal of oxygen under the waterlogged condition. So this is what a reduction reaction. And now let's see what is hydration. Hydration is a simple thing that if we take water here, if you consider a rock, so if it undergoes rock with, I can say, sodium particles or a sodium kind of sodium or calcium. So here if it undergoes if it meets with water, or if it undergoes in water, there is a dissolution takes place. That means the sodium particles which reacts with water and forms a sodium, I can say, like salt, simply said salt. So I actually don't remember what is the actual reaction, but I can simply say that salt is formed. So sodium chloride, I think NaCl, that is a sodium chloride, but here we are saying a sodium. So let's leave it. So just simply it forms a salt when it reacts with water. The sodium particles reacts and it forms a simple form of salt. So this is what hydration is. And now let's see the physical or the mechanical kind of weathering. Physical, or it is also called as mechanical. So physical or mechanical weathering. So in physical or mechanical weathering, the first is unloading and exfoliation. Now by seeing this image, we can come to a clarity that, see, unloading is a simple term. If this is a slope, we consider this as a slope. There is due to weathering, there is a removal takes place, and this weathered particle comes to reaches to the surface, ground surface. So this is what known as unloading. And if the rock broke here, or a break takes place, then when it is moving due to gravity, it also breaks here. It also comes into contact with these rocks, and there is a breakage takes place into fine grains, and this reaches the ground or the surface and forms a layer. So this is what unloading is. Now let's understand what is exfoliation. Exfoliation is nothing but, if you take an onion, so if you take an onion, so onion has different layers in it. So like this, it is, it will be having many layers. As we see here, if you consider this rock, this is having a different layers. If you consider this as one layer, and this is the another layer, and this is the another layer, so it is having many layers. If you just a second, just give me a moment, I will show you give it a greater clarity. So now let's see. So here we can understand that by seeing this is one layer, and this is other layer, this is the other layer. So this is as what we are seeing in onion. So exfoliation is nothing but the layers which break down and come to the surface, which reaches the surface due to the gravity. So this is what exfoliation is. So layers deforms and which due to weathering, which break down and come to the surface. So this is what unloading and exfoliation is. And due to the temperature changes, let's see what happens in mechanical weathering. So if you consider a rock, due to the temperature changes, if it is a sunny day, or if you consider a area in near to the Rajasthan, a rock is present. So Rajasthan, in the during the morning period there is very heat, and during night time there is a little bit cool. So there we can find two kinds of weather: night it's very cool, and during daytime it's very hot. So during daytime what happens here is the rock initially gets expand. So if you consider this is as your our initial rock, sorry, this as our initial rock, this got expanded this size. So this got expanded due to the heat generated from the sun. And during night time, again the contraction takes place, it comes to this original position. So due to this contraction and expansion and contraction, there is removal of the outer layer of the rock. So here we can see the reaction takes place, contraction and expansion. This is the layer of contraction and expansion, the outer surface layer. So here we can see contraction and extraction, and joints from the outer part of the rock. So see, this is the original rock, and this is the broken rock. So those rock particles which are broken will settle here. So this is what due to the temperature changes. And also see another example that this is also a temperature change, but with respect to water. So if you consider a rock, and during daytime there is a melting of water takes place, and during night time there is freezing takes place. And due to freezing there is I can say contraction takes place. And due to melting, there is a expansion of water takes place. Due to expansion and contraction there is little formation of cracks, and which gradually elongates and breaks the rock, and the water is removed from this, and the rock is separated into two, that is split into two. So this is what due to the temperature changes, a kind of mechanical weathering. And now let's see what are biological weathering. So biological weathering is a simple due to uh, wild fauna or flora, which happens biologically. So if you consider rodents and insects, if they makes holes into rocks and soils. So those holes, making of holes, which leads to breaking of rocks or sand particles or small rocks into minor particles. So this is what rodents and insects do. And let's say the other thing is plants and animal decay. So plants and animal decay reacts with what rock, and the forms the weakens the strength of the rock, and the rock is weathered. So next we'll, as we can see here in this figure, these are I can say decayed plant which reacted with water, which reacted with the rock, and there is a weathering will take place. So next we'll see the plant root. If you consider, many of us have seen that many times if we observe around us, there are rocks, or sometimes if we consider a house, old house, in that house there is a growing of a plant takes place. So on the roof of the house there is a growing of plant. So this is with due to the roots, and due to the plant which grows on the rock, there is a cracking takes place, the roots which helps in cracking the rock, and it enters in deep into the rock, and it makes the rock to break. So this is what due to the biological weathering, which helps plant roots, which helps in weathering. Then now see what are the human activities involved in weathering. So first I can say that vehicular weathering, if you consider this as a land surface or the rock surface, flat surface, and this is the rock which are contained on this flat surface. So if we travel on a vehicle, if you travel on a vehicle or a truck which travels on this, due to the friction and due to the heavy load in the truck or due to the heavy load of the car, this rocks tends to crush and break. So this is also a kind of weathering. And due to drilling, what we do is sometimes we can see that a general example, if I take, if construction takes place, a house construction takes place, then what builder does is he want to remove the rock particle to I can say to dig and make a pillar from the earth, so surface of the earth. So he want to make a pillar. So pillar is main for the building, so he want to make a pillar for it. Then he found a rock inside it, so what he does is he tries to drill the rock. So this is also a kind of weathering. Drilling takes place, and many of cases we'll see, I can say that mountains are drilled, small mountains are drilled, and they formed into a kind of a small concrete, not exactly concrete, small stones which are baked, which help in forming house building, which is used in roof making, etc., or pillars or columns, so which will used in there in construction purposes. And then next, explosions. So due to explosion also weathering takes place. This is how, because what we'll do is if we want to break the mountain, what we'll do, we'll use some blast kind of chemicals, or some blasting takes will put here, and then a blasting takes place, and this rock will be weathered, or this rock will be breaked. This is what weathering. And some kind of plowing, if we consider agriculture. So what happens here, the farmer want to till the land, so he takes a tractor and he tills the land. So due to the load of tire, and due to the tilling, and the rocks, small rocks present in the soil, they I can say they react, or they crushes on one another, and they forms into a fine grains, and a soil kind of thing is formed. So these are many general examples which comes under human activities. So these are what about weathering and types of weathering. So now let's see what is mass movement and mass wasting. Mass movement and mass wasting is some simple terms. These are not exactly say similar, but they are a bit similar. So mass wasting is which happens on the upper layer of the mountain. So if the movement take place on upper layer of the mountain, if I take another, if the movement take place on the upper layer, so it is mass wasting. If the movement of debris, or if the movement of a broken particle takes place and it reaches the surface, it reaches the ground, it is known as mass movement. Mass means, mass is nothing but group, of weathered particle or group of weathered rocks which reaches the ground. This is known as mass movement. So this is the simple term we need to understand from this above diagram. Then let's see what are types of mass momentum. So the first type is a slow process. Here in slow process we can see soil creep. If we observe in this diagram, this is what a soil creep. This is the slow process, we cannot see it directly. That means we cannot observe that soil creep is taking place, that is erosion is weathering is taking place, we cannot observe. It is a slow process, that means it take mm, hundreds of years or more. So how can we know that there is a weathering took place? If we consider, this as a mountain or this as a slope, so if we consider this, first initially we have uh, we grained a pole here, electric pole. We engraved a electric pole here. Due to passage of time, the pole will shift like this. So this is the gradual process. This is not a sudden process, and later on this will turn this side. So from this we can understand the soil creep took place. Or if we consider a plant, here, the if it is a straight initial days, then it will turn like this, then like, so this is what soil creep is. Now let's see what is solidification. So solidification is a simple term, but we have to understand in very detail, because many of the students get doubt in solidification. Solidification is nothing but, if you consider a slope area where freezing takes place, and due to the freezing, the ground and the rock particles are in frozen stage, and the due to the frozen, there is kind of debris is generated, small rocks. If you see here, there is a small kind of rocks which are flowing from the top surface. So these are the small rocks which are flowing. So this is due to the lubrication provided by the frozen ice. So this is what solidification is. Again, I am saying that in a clear way, because many of the students get a doubt in solidification. Slow down slope, slow down slope, this we consider a down slope. So down slope flowing of fine grained rock debris lubricated with frost or water. So it mainly occurs in permafrost regions, as layers of groundwater are occupied in between permanently frozen soil and rocks. So water, which is the water is interlocked, water particles which is interlocked between frozen land and for frozen rocks. So this is the frozen rocks and frozen this frozen land and frozen rocks. These water particles occupied in between them, and this forms as a rock debris, kind of rock debris, and this flows the slope in a very slow manner. So this is what solifluction is. And next, we can see here in this diagram, this is what solifluction. It is a slow process which takes time to be noticed. So this is what solifluction is. And next we will see what are the rapid. So let's see the rapid flow, the rapid processes. So first one is the earth flow. If we see here, this is earth flow. Earth flow is a simple term. If we consider a slope, the slope is completely covered with vegetation. If you see here, this is entirely covered with vegetation. The vegetation covered area suddenly breaks and comes down like this, which flows in a downward direction due to the water kind of reaction takes place, or with the help of water's lubrication, it can or water saturated inside the ground, there is a sudden release of, or a sudden slope takes place here. So flow takes place, sudden flow takes place. So this is what earth flow is. So I can remove this, then you can clearly see. So this is what earth flow. Then let's see what is mud flow. Mud flow is simple thing. If you consider a slope, debris or mud is flowing through the slope. This is the mud which is flowing through the slope. Thus due to with water. So what happens here is, in rainy season, will collect the water will be lubricated and the mud will flow to the down slopes. So this is what mud flow is. In rainy season we will observe that in if in your in near to our houses or any places, if we see that there is a travel of mud is taking place. If you are living in a slope area, there is a traveling of mud takes place along with water. So along with water, mud will flow to the surface, that is lower surface. This is what mud flow is. And slump is a simple term. Slump is nothing but it is breaked in due to this is also due to the water saturation. Due to the water's saturation, it breaks into layers. It breaks into layers, one two three and layers, and it moves in a curved fashion. So the main difference between the earth flow and slump is, here it will flow, it is having a vegetation and it is suddenly flows towards the n- surface due to the gravitation and I can say saturation of water. So here also saturation of water, but here the movement is taking in a curved fashion. So and it forms different layers. Here we cannot see kinds of layers. So this is the main difference between slump and soil creep. So now we'll see rockfall. If we consider this figure, many of times we can see when we are going to some places or when we see news channels, so we may notice that there is a breakdown or there is a rock fall took place and road got shut down. So this is what rock fall is. See, if this is a road and due to the slope, rockfall took place, and this is due to some kind of gravitational force. So gravity tries to attract. What we are doing nowadays, what we are, if this is the mountain or this is, if we consider this is the mountain, nowadays what we are doing is we are cutting this portion and we are building a road. So I will explain you in a very clear manner. So if we, sorry, now let's see, if you cut this portion and you build a road here, what will happen? It is against the gravity. This will try to fall down due to gravitational attraction. This mount, there is no support for this, so this will try to come down due to the gravitational attraction or gravitational force. This is what happening. We are constructing roads around the hills, and this is what happening everywhere. There is a rock fall, and debris fall is the simple, and it is also same as rock fall, but kind of sand or some small rock particles or some debris which falls on the rock. This is also same. Sometimes rocks falls here, and sometimes the mud or the soil or the debris, small fine grains which fall on the surface. So this is what see here we can say, this is a debris flow. So this is what debris is flowing, and this is the debris slide. So small minute particles which slide at once, that is known as debris slide, and this is what rock fall is. So rocks breaks and fall, and when it falls, it touches or it gives a thrust to the another rock, or I can say that it kind of hammering takes place, and there is also a breakage of other rocks. So due to this small minor rocks also, breakage also takes place, and this is what minor small kind of weathering. So this is what we have seen in types of weathering, and I hope you understood this today's topic, and thanks for your patience, and thanks for watching. Thank you.